The message emerging from this year's CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference. In our fourth story on the countdown, Republicans say George W. Bush got away from conservative values by increasing the deficit and expanding the size of government. And that Republicans must get back to the core conservative values like those of Ronald Reagan, who instead expanded the size of government while increasing the deficit. The new Republican leader, RNC Chair Michael Steele, telling America, hey folks, the last 8 years were not the result of Republican values, but merely a simple mistake. 8 years, more than $1 trillion, and untold lives worth of Republican oopsies. You can actually hear the conservatives laughing when he says this.
Tonight, we tell America that Republican values, conservative values, are right for America. Tonight, we tell America we know of the past. We know we did wrong. My bad.
As you will hear for yourself later in this news hour, Congresswoman Michelle Bachmann responded by telling Steele, quote, you be the man, you be the man. But who really be the man is far from clear. On the eve of the debut of this new ad blasting comedian Rush Limbaugh for hoping that President Obama restores America's economy, or hoping he doesn't restore America's economy, and criticizing Republicans for making Limbaugh and not Michael Steele their de facto leader, former House Speaker Tom DeLay at CPAC was repeating Limbaugh's talking points.
The enemy is the left, not other Republicans.
So you agree with Rush Limbaugh that we shouldn't hope for President Obama to succeed? We should.
Right, exactly right.
All right.
I don't want this for our nation, that's for sure.
Covering CPAC for TalkingPointsMemo.com is TPM editor-at-large Matt Cooper, also contributing editor and columnist for Condé Nast Portfolio. Thanks for your time tonight, Matt.
Hey, thanks, Keith.
Is that the message of CPAC this year? A, Bush made us do it, and then B, no, wait, I don't even know Bush, and then C, Bush who?
There was a lot of putting distance between themselves and Bush, Keith. You know, it's interesting. There was no John McCain bashing that I heard of in the 2 days I've been there, but there was a lot of shots at Bush. This morning, Newt Gingrich rocked the place with his attack on the Bush-Obama regime. He attacked Treasury Secretary Tim Geithner as a stooge of both Bush and Obama, and lots of other speakers took their shots at Bush, too.
Wow. With polls showing that mainstream America wants the Republican Party to help Obama pursue his policies, at least in the short term, does CPAC overall give you the sense of a realistic plan to regain the trust of the nation, or is it just some sort of plan to take this old message and rebrand it somehow and make it magically fresh and new looking?
Keith, there wasn't a lot of self-flagellation or self-doubt among the people I spoke with at the meeting. You know, I think, as you said in the introduction, they're really saying, well, let's go back to tax cuts and Ronald Reagan and all that. I think the only time I heard any sort of rethinking was at one sparsely attended seminar about the Hispanic vote, in which all the speakers admitted that the bashing of Hispanics and the opposition to any kind of dealing with these immigrants who are illegally here was killing the party. But that was about the only time I heard any sort of rethinking basic principles.
Well, on the subject of bashing or thinking, or rethinking, or just thinking, along with the anti-evolution bumper stickers, there was actually a crowd that booed down our old friend Tucker Carlson when he was advocating, and I'm not exaggerating this in the slightest, that conservative media should pursue actual facts the way, say, the New York Times pursues actual facts. That should be a goal on which any kind of ideology might be built, but you first have to get the facts right. Is there evidence here that CPAC is less the fringe or the extreme of a mainstream party and now the sort of mainstream of a fringe or extreme party?
Well, it is definitely the mainstream of the Republican Party. And there was a lot of shouting down of different things. I did hear the Tucker Carlson remark in which he was attacking the New York Times, but he did at least give them to this conservative audience that they were in the business of fact-gathering, and that concession itself was enough to arouse the ire of the crowd. But earlier today I heard Ron Paul attack America's entry into World War I. So there were no shortage of things that were attacked at this conference.
Don't vote Democrat because Woodrow Wilson lied in the 1916 campaign. He didn't keep us out of war.
He did talk about that.
Last point, somebody who makes Ron Paul seem, I guess, a little less out there, Rush Limbaugh. He speaks tomorrow. Is he in the position to claim mission accomplished in sort of owning the GOP? Did CPAC reveal any signs that the fringe sanity wing of the party might still prevail against him?
Well, he is an extremely popular voice, and he is the final speaker of the conference and will probably get the biggest crowd. So, I think the idea that they're in revolt against their talk radio wing is far from the case. I mean, he remains just as popular as he was a year ago.
I, for one, would like to welcome our new radio overlords. Matt Cooper of Talking Points Memo and Condé Nast Portfolio. Thank you, Matt. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Keith.